Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Oh, that's right. It's all about you, ABQ, and White Shirt Wednesdays.
Yeah, we didn't plan this, but here we go.
The goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, lifestyle, so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way we like to do that is to answer the questions you may have or interview the guests that you'd like to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag above or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque.
Grant Harvey, Vision Mortgage Lender Expert.
And Marble Guy.
Yeah.
You may have seen Grant as the head coach of the University of New Mexico men's Lobo hockey team. Now he's absolutely crushing it in the mortgage space.
Wait, where have we seen this guy? HGTV's House Hunters and part of the top 2% producing real estate agents in New Mexico.
That's right. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Estevan Lucero of 8 Gradys. He's a
I love that you
tried.
Like your accent's great. I don't even try. Good for you.
Yeah, listen, I put a lot of heart and
do
soul.
you say Candelaria? And I go, it's Candelaria. And I know everyone's like, that's not how it's pronounced. And I go, I'm just going to be authentic.
You know what people always say that drives me bananas is Bosque. It's the Bosque, right? But if you're local, it's Bosque.
Do you say Bosque?
Bosque.
I say Bosque.
It's Bosque. It's Basque.
A lot of times you get around people and you try to like go, oh, I go, hey man, I'll shake hands and I don't go, what up? I'm just natural. So I'd like to be patented white guy. Good for you for assimilating. I will never say Bosque because it just people go like, what are you, like poser? Like just, you don't talk like that.
Listen, if you're not wearing a white shirt, dark jeans, and brown shoes, I don't get you. Really.
I celebrate everyone that wants to say it right. I'm not going to pretend that I actually talk like that. Or like, Montano. I go, Montano.
Montano. Yeah, I grew up in the Heights. Sue me. Hey, so here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. Grant's going to jump into the Mortgage Minute, talk a little bit about what's going on here in Albuquerque, and then stay to the end of the show, everybody's favorite. We're going to get into Skip's tips. But Grant, let's talk a little bit about you, man. What's been the latest, dude?
So I pride myself on this, and I don't think we ever skip short on bragging about ourselves. I have a garden, and so I went to a previous guest, Chris Doherty's agro greenhouse, and I picked up a variety of chili plants, jalapenos, tomato plants, bell peppers, eggplant. Because I plan on winning another first place state fair prize for my vegetables. Last year, because you're wondering, I won Armenian cucumber. First, I wish I put that. But
Armenian cucumber?
Yeah, what does that even mean? It's actually a really good tasting, bigger variety of your average cucumber. So it grows to be about this big, and I had no idea it would do that. And I planted 2 of them. They overrode my whole garden, but that's not a problem. Everyone can actually.
So it's a 2-handed cucumber, man. That's great. So you got a blue ribbon for your Armenian cucumber.
Yeah, what do you got, buddy?
Oh, let's look at me. Gosh, what?
So let me kind of describe what's going on here. So there's 3 tents and rows and rows and rows of these plants you can buy. So they actually have stages of greenhouses, and then they have they plant them from seedlings, and then you get to plant them and look like a hero. But again, that was agro greenhouse, and there's one tent that actually looks like you're in Holland. It's just a straight shoot of beautiful flowers, and you go, oh yeah, that's nice to see.
And everybody that works there has to wear wooden shoes.
Fact.
Fun facts.
Termite problem. What did you do? You've got a baby to bring up.
Okay, let's talk about kids. I never wanted to be the host that's always like, hey, guess what? Let's talk about daycare.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Adeline. Let's talk about Adeline's progression.
Adeline's a sweetheart. It's funny, today we have a new property going to hit the market in Corrales on Ashley Lane. And so we did behind the scenes, a lot of marketing photos and videos today. And so Adeline was sweet. We brought her and she got to explore a little bit When I say explore, she's only a month old, actually. Happy birthday, 1 month to Adeline. But Birdie is just up and around, running around. So we had some really cool times with her on camera, running through one of the coolest properties in Corrales. What people love about Corrales, let's talk a little bit about it. I know
I'm a big fan of that. My progression is, and I'm not to say that I'm out of scope for UABQ. I consider Corrales an extension of it. Say the greater Albuquerque area.
Yeah.
Corrales is Albuquerque.
It's funny, if you live in Albuquerque, you consider Corrales part of Albuquerque. If you live in Corrales,
yeah, they go,
Corrales is no. We
what
are
do you
Corrales.
think? We're
Much like it's keep Austin weird. It's keep Corrales small. The population's less than 10,000. Most of the homes are on at least an acre. But the cool thing is you get these massive custom estates with horses or vineyards or alpacas if you want alpacas. But you have the newer homes nestled next to the original adobe homes. So
I feel like Corrales is, and it's for some of you guys who are familiar with the North Valley. I feel like North Valley and Corrales are kind of similar in the fact that there's just stubborn people that don't want to let their properties go, and they will pass it on to people they know or family members. But it's not like your average Zillow search. You can't just go into Corrales and go get your property. It's kind of like a privileged rite of passage thing. Or like we talked about before with Angela, you get this small airplane strip that you could go land your plane on.
Meaning the original land parcels or a giant square, and then you cut it into a quarter and hand it down to your kid, another quarter. So now you look at the map and it's all these long strips of land that, like Grant said, you could land an airplane on.
You're supposed to actually, the culmination of you having your residence with farming, and you're actually, it gives you a better tax rate. You're actually supposed to have this property in conjunction with like farming. You're supposed to like grow a crop. So that was the purpose of it, and I don't knock it. I think it's great. One day you could be buying alfalfa from me.
Alfalfa and alpaca socks. Coming up in the next segment, 8 Gradys is a performance training center here in Albuquerque.
Yeah, probably the theme of our show is bringing forth and illustrating things that people think that can't happen in Albuquerque. They go, that's big city ideas, and we happen to believe we are a big city and we should have that now. So Estevan trains elite athletes and gets them ready for NCAA scholarships and stuff. And personally, me being an athlete, like Skip too, I'm impressed by his work. So.
We never had that growing up in Albuquerque. It was always like, you want to get better, you go out and train in the tumbleweeds.
Yeah, go to the mesa like a real man.
Yeah,
go punch the volcanoes.
Train barefoot in the goat heads. And that's how you would get better. But now to see Albuquerque evolving and actually having a strategy for indoor training during the winter months and the windy season.
I actually happen to hate, and it happens in the hockey community, I hate having kids leave the city or the state to excel. I do feel like it takes the right person to go stay here, and you may play here for hockey, right? But like you don't have to leave, and it's kind of frustrating to have that be the theme going. If you want to be an elite athlete, take off. No, stay here. We found some yes men. Estevan's part of
that. In the third segment, we're going to talk about Skip's tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun.
Or save your marriages. Because remember one time you said you would decrease the divorce rate?
Me? If you listen to Skip's tips? Shoot, click that subscribe button and follow along every week. But Grant, let's talk about a little bit about what's going on in the mortgage industry. Yeah. I know that this is real estate based show. So what are you seeing as far as financing?
There's a lot of times I think when I do these
mortgage minute.
Yeah. When I do these mortgage minutes, I think I like to talk about things that hit home or in their recency, and lately has been employment. And a lot of people have been like, Grant, I know I can't afford a loan or get into a loan because I jumped employment statuses. I went from a salesperson to manufacturing, and that was old knowledge. But nowadays you can actually, if you have a linear end date to start date within 2 weeks, you can actually be in a different industry, and that's new. So the other thing I think I want to touch on is sometimes people have a 6-month break, and they assume that once they resume work, it's going to be okay. Just know that when you take a 6-month break, you need to be back on board for 6 more months, and that lets the underwriter and Fannie Mae know that you're serious and you're going to continue your employment. I think the other employment issue that I've had is when people say, "Well, I have a part-time job." you have to have that part-time job in conjunction with your primary workforce to have 2 years. So I'm all about it, and Fannie Mae will require you to show provenance that you've had 2 years of part-time employment, and then we can count as income. That's my mortgage minute. Bye.
Always good info, always good stuff to take away. Coming up next in our next segment, Estevan Lucero of 8 Gradys is going to talk. I think we're having a push-up contest, and then we're going to throw some tables across the stage.
Even I'm leaner than him. I'm not doing this because just.
And then stay tuned to the end of the show. It's everybody's favorite is Skip's Tips.
Saving marriages.
Just the tips. Stay tuned. Welcome back to segment 2 of UABQ. In this segment, first of all, hey, Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate here in Albuquerque. And this is Grant Harvey of Vision Mortgage. If you have any home loan questions, obviously he's the guy to go to. We're joined by Estevan Lucero of 8 Gradys Performance Center. Now,
we actually forgot to bring up that season 2, we both lost our vision.
Oh, and also we all always dress the same now.
And we only wear pirate white shirts from now on.
But let's welcome to the show Estevan Lucero, local kid. Wow, thank you for joining us. And the goal of the show is just to kind of highlight people that live in Albuquerque, grew up here, maybe left for a little while and decided to come back. But give us your backstory. I mean, born and raised, went to Valley High School.
Yeah, so born and raised in North Valley, like you said. Went to Valley High School. And at a pretty early age decided I want to play college football, right? But I'm a short Hispanic dude, so I had some challenges there. And so I decided what I was going to pour myself into was making sure that I was going to be bigger, faster, stronger, all that kind of stuff. And that kind of led me to this path. But where I went with it is I got a scholarship to New Mexico Military Institute.
NIMI?
NIMI. National champs.
Okay, what year was that?
I was there from 2007 to 2009.
Dude, we used to play summer, when I was playing summer baseball, we would always have, because NIMI had a baseball field, if I'm not, and so that was always like the meeting point for small towns in New Mexico and Albuquerque would meet at NIMI and play.
Yep.
And I was always just like, what is NIMI? I talk a little bit about NIMI because, I think with national champs, I mean, talk a little bit about what the school is, but also how'd you guys get on the map?
Yeah, so I can't say I was on the map. We're not as good when I played, but actually what's great about it is, they took a chance on me. They rolled the dice that year actually on a bunch of New Mexico kids. I was like a big part of the recruiting class. So I have to thank Jeff Lynn. He coaches at Roswell right now, and Coach Forshner, who was the defense coordinator when I was there and helped out a bunch. And so, they came through, and it was kind of a unique opportunity because I had gotten hurt my senior year. I had tore my MCL. I got rolled up in practice. And so I'm thinking like, oh man, I'm not going to I was like the last puppy in that little box that people were trying to take or donating or whatever. And so what ended up happening is Jeff Lynn came in, saw my film, decided he's going to offer me a scholarship. They actually have a unique situation down there where they give you what's called a legislative scholarship, and then of course you have your FAFSA, and then they fill in the rest. So they gave me a solid package, and so went down there, proved my worth to some degree, played for 2 years, had a bunch of starts, all that kind of thing. As far as the school itself, it's really unique, just an experience, and of course it's a military school now.
So people that are not from Albuquerque, people watch from all over the world, but NIMI is short for New Mexico Military Institute. So is there an emphasis on Army, Navy, Air Force, or just kind of everything in general?
Yeah, so it's an Army school.
Okay.
Now what's kind of nice about it in a way is it offers the discipline. It's almost like the whole school is involved in ROTC. That's the best way I can describe it.
Okay.
There are people there who are looking to become commissioned officers. So most of the junior college is comprised of athletes, again, senior ROTC members, and then of course people who are looking to prep for various service academies. So Air Force, Navy, you name it, West Point in some cases. Coast Guard.
Do you have any takeaway saying that besides sports, there was something that kind of infiltrated your personality after? Did that have some effect on you coming out?
To be honest, what was kind of nice is when I got to my 4-year school, I went to Fort Lewis College following. I didn't know what to do with all my time. Like everything was organized. I knew where I was going to be, what time I was going to study. And the best part about it is I know a lot of college freshmen flounder when they're kind of left to their own devices, right? You guys know. I don't have to get into that.
Yeah, this guy. Does anyone know? But this guy. Yeah.
Where did I park my car?
Yeah. How old am I?
Yes. So in my situation, I needed structure, and I probably didn't know that I needed it. I was kind of rough around the edges at the time. And I was surrounded by people who had high character, motivated, again, looking to go to service academies. Like, those are people who score 35s on the ACT, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just around that kind of community often enough that you start to immerse yourself in it and it becomes part of your character in a way.
You know, I think that's important. When I had my hockey team, I actually was blessed to have a lot of engineers and guys going towards like doctorate school and getting extended degrees. I think that peers actually can shape you, and I know that sounds cliche, but if you have buddies to your right and left conducting themselves correctly and studying, there's no one to like mess around with. You go, okay, I guess I'll study too because you guys are booked.
Nerds.
And you know what's funny is I actually love my nerdy hockey team. The average locker room conversation is like, what hypotheticals about black holes. And, you know, it's like, he's like, yeah, I'll take it. But I do think that peers, more than anything, can kind of shape. You know, and you are like, I think there's a theory that says you are the 5 people you hang around with.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's great. You know, that was the byproduct of going there.
Yeah, no question. It helped me out tremendously. I mean, it set me on the right track. You know, there were several opportunities for me to kind of deviate and go on the wrong path, especially being from the North Valley. That's a place where it can be rough around the edges at times.
Sure. We've all met knuckleheads from the Valley.
We're from, we're Albuquerque, wherever. You know, he was the high guy, the west guy. Like, let's be honest. Like, everyone had a chance to deviate from the right path.
Yeah, no question. But New Mexico military is great because, honestly, some of my best friends all time came from there.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said for that because I think you know, it's a struggle, right? In my head, this is what NIMI is. You wake up at 5, do like 300 push-ups.
You just throw oatmeal at your face.
Yeah. There's somebody, a drill sergeant, screaming at you to do your arithmetic, and then you know, that's the day-to-day. So, to that being said, I think you actually build more of a bond, obviously, from. You know,
well, let's be honest about young 20-year-olds. We want the most liberties. We're idiots.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, males from 18 to 22 are idiots. Like, please tell me what to do. I think I know better. No, instruct away. Like,
yeah, make sure I don't get hit by a car.
Yeah, no, that was the best part, is just making sure I wasn't left to my own devices. That's a big part of it. So yeah, the experience overall was really good, and it prepared me for the 4-year school I went to.
Okay, so now talk about the path, about how you went into, I don't want to say personal training, it went into athletic training, but talk about your path from start to now.
Sure. So again, going back to my original point, you know, I knew that I was vertically challenged, right? I'm not the tallest football player that's ever existed. And so I had to really dive into being stronger or faster than anybody else. And so I started to read, I started to write, I started to create programs and, you know, create my own philosophy and understanding of what I thought was useful. And that kind of shaped me in that way. And when I came back to Valley High, look, there we are. When I came back to Albuquerque, I started coaching, right? I coached football for 4 years, and that's because that's what I knew, right? Like, that was my tool that I had.
But you know what I like about this? Skip and I always joke about football coaches, only because I feel like there is a massive amount of guys that never did anything and were terrible at football. I think it's great that you went into that because I know you're a fantastic football player. I know you're a fantastic trainer. There's a plethora of guys that want to go get their youth back and in the sport.
Yell at kids.
Yeah, and I go, here's a guy, you know, as a coach to coach, I recognize how proficient you are. And although, let's admit, it shouldn't matter how good you are at sports, it does.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of 5'8" basketball coaches that go, look, I know I can't dunk, but here's how basketball goes. But kids are bratty, and they need to inherently see that you're good at your sport and can do that. That's why I think you're super valuable. And when I watch your videos, I go, there's an effective coach. I know you shouldn't have to be the best at everything, but you engage in their training and their skills and stuff. You shouldn't have to be the best at it, but you are, and I think it's super effective, and that's how I used to coach. I used to put on my pads, and I go, all right, here's, coach will do it at 10 out of 10, like, now here we go. I think it's just a really effective way to win people over. So I think that was my takeaway when I watched your videos. I'm like, dude, here's a guy that, and I'm not impressed by anyone's weightlifting except for his, because I'm inherently as a bodybuilder earlier, but I go, dude, watch this guy's video. I'm like, I'm in. You know, I lift a lot of weights, but I'm in. So I praise to you for, I think you get everyone engaged and to interact with you because they respect your athleticism.
Well, thanks. No, I think a big part of, and maybe an underappreciated, underrepresented part of what we do is the human psychology part of it, the relationship building. You know, the X's and O's is one thing, but in order for an athlete to really trust and buy in, they really have to know, like, and trust you. And you're right, probably a big part of that is I don't need to be world class at what you're doing right now, but I have to be proficient enough to demonstrate. I have to be proficient enough for you to understand, right?
And your willingness to participate is a big thing. Yeah. I think a lot of times, you get to the 50, 60, 70-year-old coaches that go have this board and
just blow the whistle.
Yeah. And they go, you know what, actually, it will show some of your merit. Watch coach, watch him do that. And they go, oh my God. Again, it shouldn't take that. Yeah. But man, does it help people subscribe to your theories, right?
It does. It absolutely does. And I think part of me too feels like if I get too far away from that, I'm out of touch, right? And everybody knows that football coach who's so out of touch that they have people doing things that either get them hurt, make them too fatigued, don't allow them to be properly prepared for their sport. And you can just go down the list, right? We talk about good coaches and bad coaches.
Of course. So what was happening before 8 Gradys? And there was a segment that even Skip and I were amongst with hockey or baseball.
Yeah.
There was a void.
Yeah.
How do you
training facilities and
Yep.
and before the internet too. I mean, you the only thing that you were coached on is whatever your coach knew from his coach.
Yeah.
And so now you have the opportunity to go online, actually do research, see what the people in California, see how they're training, see what their footwork drills look like, and it helps to educate you, but also visual for the kids. And I think that's what helps.
Well, how does the public know that you guys are a thing? I mean, I see your billboard on Paseo, but how when people come to you, what's their feedback? How do they find you?
Well, I think the best way people find us is truly through affinity marketing, right? Like if you do a really good job with one person, they tell another person, then it kind of echoes from there.
I love that. That's an organic way to go, like a referral system going.
Tell me what we're watching in this video.
Oh, so
lifting 10 cars on his shoulder. I don't know.
So this is from a mock meet that I did not that long ago. This is a month or two ago.
What is that?
So 775 on the bar.
It's just
no kilo. I wish, right? And so I'm an elite level power lifter right now. I have a couple state records in the USPA.
Wait, say more about that. What are the records?
Keep bragging.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about me too much.
No,
but
we
just
insist.
So you guys know,
Don't worry, your quads are doing all the talking right now.
Yeah, so this was just at our training facility. I don't know if this is the actual squat itself, but essentially
this is just stupid. Yeah. This just makes my patellas just burst watching.
It's like you're working at Jiffy Lube, just lifting.
This
cars
is why I
onto the
don't
rack.
want to watch anyone else work out when they set their stupid thing on Facebook. I go, no, here's actually real weightlifting. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The kids have to see this, right?
Sometimes.
Who doesn't want that as a trainer?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. I know. I was a stubborn kid. I didn't want to be told what to do until I saw any of my hockey coaches. I go, dude, this guy's sick. Okay, I'm back in.
Yeah. Right? Well, part of that's true. It's funny. I told you I coached high school football, and a lot of times high school football players are high school football players, and so they're not impressed. Like they're never. Every one of them knows how to bench press. They'll know how to squat. They don't. They don't need your help until they need your help. And then when you obviously start to drip to them, like, okay, this is how you can get better faster, then they start to buy in a little bit more. What's kind of interesting is I have this background in football, powerlifting, strength sports, power sports, things like that. My initial clientele actually was volleyball players and a lot of female athletes, softball players. They're just who showed up on my doorstep. I started out at a small training facility called Athlete Ready, and we were making magic happen after I'd done a series of internships. And and some folks who just walked in the door like, hey, we're looking to get better. And it was kind of nice because it really
locally.
Yeah,
I would have to imagine. You have any Steve Archibek's, the La Cueva?
I might. I don't know. No, well, at the time maybe. Okay. Not right now.
There's a La Cueva dynasty that's happening, and they win like 7 out of 8.
Yeah.
What sport are we talking about?
The women's volleyball.
Oh, We do have a couple of those girls who came to us through Duke City Volleyball Academy. Okay. That's like the organic academy that sits inside of the field house. But I that turned into my primary demographic. I had El Dorado Volleyball. I had a whole slew of softball players from
That's
all
so great that you
It's
do
bizarre.
that, because what a diversified athlete profile are you serving?
Yeah.
You go, I do volleyball.
Yeah, I'm not just a meathead football player. Like I can actually articulate to the different gender and tell them how to better for their sport.
Yeah.
But so talk a little bit more about this, because this was something we touched on, is that you work at 8 Gradys, but what the heck is that? What exactly do you have private lessons? You teach people how to jump. You had said something about you're holding a speed camp. And the speeds get register nationally. I mean, talk more about what your specialty is.
Sure. So I'll unpack on 8 Gradys as a whole. So the performance facility is a holistic training facility, right? Meaning we don't just focus on strength, right? That's the one that everybody turns their head and pays attention to. We focus on change of direction. We focus on speed, acceleration, power. I hate to say injury prevention because that's just not a thing, right? We do injury reduction by means of teaching proper warm-ups, making sure people know how to take care of themselves, recovery protocols, things like that, right? So it's kind of the all-encompassing. We want to make sure everybody's healthy from the ground up and can stay in the game over the course of time.
That's what I did notice about your Instagram posts. Like, you have a well-rounded, it's not only the lift, what are you going to do in between? Are you eating okay? Like, are you resting okay? Like, all these things are integral in your athletic development. Like, there's ways to go grow yourself in the gym, and there's ways to go grow and actually have some resiliency when you're out of the gym. Yep. And you touch on that, and I think that's big. I think everyone has these YouTube courses of how to perform, but like, there's more growing to be done when you left the gym. So I think that was impressive to me.
Well, thanks. You know, I heard this not that long ago, but I'm a guy who loves lifting, right? Like, I truly do. It's a good time for me. It's something that helps my dopamine and all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, the nutrition and the recovery are probably more important. And I hate to say it, but that's just the reality, right? Like, what are you doing the other 23 hours? Outside of the training facility. So back to your question, Gradys definitely is trying to be all-encompassing. That's what we aim to do. That's our core philosophy. Outside of that, we help whoever comes to our doorstep meet whatever goals that they have. And if we're talking about the athletes specifically, obviously it's bigger, faster, stronger. We want to make sure they can jump higher, and we have protocols that allow them to do that in a much shorter period of time than if they were going to try to figure it out on their own. Okay. And then of course we have a whole slew of adults too. We have folks who are just trying to feel better on the weekends and make sure that they can go camping with their grandkids. You know what I mean?
Can you work on Skip's badminton swing?
Anytime. Yeah, we're pretty
really
good at that.
He's a bad partner to have.
It's pretty bad. Okay, well, that's interesting. I think that, you know, there's a lot of room for growth in Albuquerque, but what's cool about you is, you know, you're not the guy that's necessarily teaching, you know, the technique of the free throw. You're teaching how to get your legs strong enough to keep your body more consistent over the season. I mean, LeBron pays how many millions of dollars a year to have somebody like you go through the sleep protocol, the jumping, the nutrition, all the stuff that goes off the court that makes the difference on the court. Yeah,
we even focus on mental preparedness. We partner with a company called Poise. So before athletes walk in the door, or even adults, we do a whole mental check-in. So we talk about their fatigue, their recovery,
that is,
see what the mood's like.
That is so important for me, for being a hockey coach. I think that everyone expects these players to have the skill set to just go out there and do it automatically. And we both know they're kids. Even pro athletes are usually kids. And you have to tap into how are you going to perform and what are you doing mentally prepare and visualize your best shift or your best performance. And I think that, like, you can have a skill set, but we've all met athletes that had it all and couldn't perform. We knew that they, you know, in practices they were the best and they couldn't show it. And I think the mental preparedness is a huge facet that no one actually dives into. So I'm so glad you do that, because for me, I've had hockey players that I go, man, you could be the best in college hockey, but when I put you on the game, you have anxiety or something happens. So that's great to talk about that, because that's a component of being an athlete and an athlete that excels. So great.
Yeah.
You're doing it all that I've ever wanted. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's Instagram. I'm like, here he goes again. So anyways, I think if I have to give any promotion as an athlete, and I think Skip can subscribe to that, I think you're killing it. I think everything I do, I wouldn't even have you on here, but I go, man, I just love the work that he's doing. So that's, big props to you, man.
And then before we let you go, talk a little bit about, I know you spent some time in Colorado. You left New Mexico for a while. What is it about Albuquerque or New Mexico that kind of called you back home? What is it that, why should people find out about Albuquerque and New Mexico in general?
So there's a variety of reasons. For me, again, I always thought that I would end up in a major metro area, right? I'd end up in Dallas-Fort Worth or something like that. And I came back here and I saw so much untapped potential, and I saw the opportunity to grow and expand and thrive and teach people like me what they could become, right? Unleash some potential that a lot of folks, don't necessarily see in themselves early on. And that was brought upon me, especially playing in other places and being around people from other states, and again, no knock on any of my teammates by any stretch, but the fact that I'm competing at this level, I have a seat at the table just like you do, and then you come back to a place like this and you go, okay, there's so much untapped potential when it comes to what you guys do, what I do. It's like you're bringing fire to people in a way, and when you start to unlock that and you can see somebody go, oh wow, I went out to this major college tryout and I performed in the top 10%. That's really neat. See what they're doing, you're now doing, right? You're just as good as anybody out there.
Yeah, I love it. I like the theme of saying that that's not for other cities. I love, and our theme of our show is we love yes people. Why not Albuquerque? And all the naysayers that say it will never work, we go, No, like I love to see it take off here, and you're part of that, so that's big.
Yeah, you are everything that's you, ABQ. Estevan, we appreciate you stopping by, pitching it. Anything you want to promote? Are you guys, you have a speed camp coming up?
Yeah, so we have a speed camp coming up. It's going to be every single athlete who attends, it doesn't matter if it's soccer, volleyball, baseball, you name it, you're going to be inserted into a universal or national database called the USR, Universal Speed Ranking System, that's run by Les Spellman, and you're going to get to see yourself compared to other athletes of your cohort, right? So your age, your ability, your likeness. And then it'll tell you just general information about how fast you are and where you need to improve. And of course, our coach is going to be there for instruction the whole time. The other thing we have going on is our youth athletic development. So we work with a whole bunch of athletes 13 and under, right? We're talking all the way down to like 7 and 6. And so many of those kids, they need a developmental plan, but it's not as concrete, it's not as like rigid as like we're not barbell back squatting those kids, right? We're teaching them real basic, fundamental nuance of taking care of themselves, being healthy, and a lot of times gamifying, make sure they're having a good time experiencing the training facility and what it is to take care of themselves.
Okay. You still ready to run that 4.3? Want to go out there?
Mentally, yeah, let's go.
He's going to mentally run a 4.3.
Yeah, mentally, I'm already done, ladies.
Yeah, thanks, man, for coming on the show. I wouldn't have you on here to pump your tires unless I thought you were exceptional as an athlete. So thanks.
Yes, I appreciate you stopping by. Stay tuned to the next segment. It's everybody's favorite. You're not going to want to miss this week.
Preventing divorces.
Skip tips. Stay tuned.
We're back. Last segment. Thanks, Estevan, for coming on here and showing us that Albuquerque can do it too. We're at our favorite portion of the show, Skip's Tips.
That's right, it's Skip's Tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. Now, your home is your biggest asset, that's no question. So it makes sense that at any given time, or at least once a year, you understand how much equity you have in your property. That way, if you ever need to leverage that equity to make home improvements or repairs, say you need $20,000 for a roof, it's always important to understand exactly how much equity you have in your property. So feel free to reach out and I can teach you some ways to tap into that equity, whether it's with a home equity line or refinancing into a different type of loan. We'll see what works best for you. Either way, share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
I think it's important. I think a lot of times we have investors asking us, like, how do we get into the next house as you need 20 or 25%? And your current house is actually a plausible way to put that down payment. And it's considered seasoned money. So equity is seasoned money. You can use it right away.
Yeah, especially if it's your first house. Remember, it's not going to be your forever house. Your first house is just meant to be a catalyst to catapult you into that next property. So find a way to leverage that equity to put you in a better position.
We both described it. We did this ourselves. I heavily encourage you to use your first house as your rental and keep climbing. And that's really how you build wealth. But everyone gets tempted about selling their house and using that equity and going and apply it to the next one. Man, don't. Just keep it.
Keep the wheel turning. A great episode today, dude. And first of all, dude, great outfit today.
White shirt, son.
Yeah, dude, great outfit. You want to see what's under here, ladies?
Yeah.
Tune in.
Do you want to see?
Tune in after hours. We'll see you guys Wednesday nights, Sunday mornings here on the Education Channel. Well, stay tuned because this is you, ABQ.
Watching you, ABQ.